why sometimes people won't listen to reason even when they're smart, and what techniques you can do to finally get through to those people so that they see the light. In fact, some of the smartest people have the most sophisticated psychological booby traps when it comes to heated subjects. There are 7 tells that someone is going into a cognitive dissonance shutdown, and you need to tread carefully.
Good evening to you all. I pray that you're feeling blessed and highly favored on today. Getting right into things. As I was scrummaging the YouTube universe, like I'm known to do, I ran across a very, very interesting piece, and I instantly fell in love with it upon watching it. You know, it was one that I had to literally rewatch because I'm not sure if you guys know this or not, but my degree is actually in communications. Not that that's anything special, but I have a love of communication because it is so vast. And so one of the things that I actually pride myself on is understanding communication, understanding the different ways that individuals communicate with each other, overcoming problems, overcoming objections, overcoming certain things that would hinder progression between two individuals oftentimes, or in that of an interpersonal relationship or one with an intimate partner. And so I'm always looking for ways to better communication skills and searching for different tactics. Now, one thing that I oftentimes come across, or that I can be guilty of in my own relationships, is that of what would consider to be almost domineering. And typically, I'm a man that is governed by logic and reason. And so, given these two things together or combined, when I'm having a conversation or a discussion with someone and it is blatantly obvious that they are incorrect, I feel like I'm so gifted with communication to where I can force my views on them. And a lot of times, if like they'll discuss in this particular, they actually put a name to it and actually discuss ways around it, it'll almost put us at a standstill, because, or it'll really end in you letting me have it, but you really don't receive the message. So as a communicator, I failed. Okay, you're right, whatever. Let it go as to not exert too much energy. But they never really see things or see the point that I'm trying to give to them, and so they end up leaving the same way that they came in, which as a communicator, you've certainly failed. And with this, I found myself even at times getting emotional, getting angry that they just don't understand. Like, how don't you see what I'm saying? And this piece actually gave me some information, which is very rare, because a lot of things that I know to do, oftentimes if someone's cup is full, if they're not truly trying to hear you or understand you, then oftentimes the best thing to do is to stop trying to convince or persuade them and just let them go about it. So oftentimes you just have to plant the seed and let somebody else water it and let it grow. But they actually gave a few different ways and gave me a new outlook concerning certain things, and it was a blessing to me, and hopefully it will be a blessing to you as well. I'll be stopping the piece periodically, but to kind of give my 2 cents on the matters discussed. But with that, let's go ahead and jump right into it.
It seems to be harder than ever to get through to people logically. In fact, some of the smartest people have the most sophisticated psychological booby traps when it comes to heated subjects. So in this video, we are going to break down why sometimes people won't listen to reason even when they're smart, and what techniques you can do to finally get through to those people so that they see the light. The first thing that you need to realize is that people can fall into a pit that makes them impervious to reasoned argument. What pushes them into that pit is called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is the state of having thoughts, actions, beliefs, or desires that are inconsistent with one another. The classic example is someone who smokes, knows that smoking kills, yet says that they want to live a long, healthy life. Their beliefs and their actions don't seem to match up. Now, having one's own cognitive dissonance pointed out is uncomfortable. That's because there's often an unspoken cost to changing certain actions or opinions. In this case, stopping smoking would lead to painful withdrawals. So the most common way that people make cognitive dissonance more bearable is by sneakily changing another thought or action, even if that one makes them irrational. That means that our smoker who can't quit only has irrational paths out of cognitive dissonance. They may point to individuals who smoked without consequence, insist that they have the healthiest genes, or say that they don't care if they die early, even when they really do. The big takeaway is that sometimes, especially in politics, religion, or emotional life choices, the most ridiculous belief that we have is the one that is most difficult to change.
Wow, they certainly said a mouthful right there. They've actually kicked the video. They kicked the door down with one of my pet peeves, you know, and oftentimes, even though this is something that I know, I hadn't placed the definition to it. Like, hold on, this person is suffering from cognitive dissonance. You know, it's like, I almost, and I know this is so dismissive of me, so shame on me, but I will often write people off as like, man, they just emotional, and the emotion is causing them to be stupid. Like, how irrational can you be? Like, you don't see what the hell is going on, what I'm trying to tell you right now? How don't you view things this way? And I can pull from a number of resources. I can pull from a bunch of different pools of information to where I can prove what I'm saying to be fact. But yet and still, you will have individuals who justify the irrational, and that is just one of the pet peeves of mine. But let's go on to kind of see what they're saying, because they definitely said a mouthful in that little space right there.
That is why smart people cling to silly positions. It's also why it's critical that you recognize cognitive dissonance if you're ever going to get through to those people. Because the worst thing that you can do in moments where people are deep in a cognitive dissonance shutdown is to continue with logical argument. That will just drive them deeper into irrationality.
Man.
So here are 7 tells that someone is going into a cognitive dissonance shutdown, and you need to tread carefully. Keep in mind that none of these are perfect indicators. There are times when each tell is entirely reasonable. But if you see several tells, it's likely you're encountering cognitive dissonance. Also, my intent here is not to make fun of the people in these examples, just to learn from them, because we all get caught up in cognitive dissonance from time to time. So the first indicator is being stunned by new information without conceding or adjusting your perspective. Take, for example, Kathy Newman after she had asked Jordan Peterson about why he feels that he has the right to offend people in the pursuit of
Excellent
truth.
analogy.
You're doing what you should do, which is digging a bit to see what the hell's going on. It's exercising your freedom of speech to certainly risk offending me.
But you haven't sat there and I'm just trying to work that out. I mean,
Ha, gotcha.
you have got me. I'm trying to work that through in my head. Yeah, it took a while.
Look at him. Man, mine working fast.
When someone is stunned, it means that they encountered surprising new information, and to not adjust one's perspective based on that new information can point towards cognitive dissonance. But I repeat that alone is not enough on its own, which is why you should pay attention for number 2, being unable to accurately summarize the other side's perspective. And this is often preceded by, so you're saying.
You're saying that trans activists, but you're saying, right, so you're saying that anyone who believes in equality, so you're saying give people equality of opportunity, that's fine.
We see Ben Affleck do this in his conversation with Sam Harris when Sam is critical of aspects of the doctrine of Islam.
We have been sold this meme of Islamophobia where every criticism of the doctrine of Islam gets conflated with bigotry toward Muslims as people.
Right. You're saying that Islamophobia is not a real thing.
Now, this needs to be contrasted with summarizing the other side's perspective in a way that genuinely attempts to portray them in their own words. This is to be encouraged, and you can see Jon Stewart do it here with Bill O'Reilly.
Let me go to a different point, if I may. It sounds like what you're saying is, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't want to be wrong when I'm with you, because you know I got mad love for you. That's a rap phrase.
I got it.
All right.
The third tell is mind reading the other side's intent, especially when the intent is presumed to be nefarious. Ben Shapiro made this mistake in his conversation with Andrew Neil, assuming that Andrew must be on the left because he asked him pointed questions. Ben continued to disbelieve Andrew even when Andrew had indicated that Ben had misread his intent.
You as a journalist are proceeding to call one side of the political aisle ignorant, barbaric, and sending us back to the Dark Ages. Why don't you just say that you're on the left? Is this so hard for you? Why can't you just be honest?
Mr.
Seriously,
Shapiro,
it's a serious question.
Mr. Shapiro, if you only knew how ridiculous that statement is, you wouldn't have said it. So let's move on. Would you vote
I
for
think it's
Mr.
pretty evident from your own questions exactly what you are, sir.
Trump
The fourth tell is regularly moving
Another excellent
goalposts.
analogy.
It's of course okay to clarify your position, but if you notice that someone is
happens
regularly
all the
adjusting
time.
the criteria by which they judge an argument, you're likely witnessing cognitive dissonance. For context, in this next clip, Stewart and O'Reilly are arguing whether it reflects poorly that Barack Obama had Common to the White House, given that Common has defended someone accused of killing a police officer. Jon Stewart points out that Springsteen, Bono, and Bob Dylan also did the same thing, and we get this exchange.
No, wait, let me reply. Okay, so you say that because Bono, Springsteen, and Bob Dylan wrote songs defending people who were accused of heinous things,
Yes.
that I have to give Common a pass because he did the same thing.
You have to be consistent with your outrage.
Let me give you,
Be consistent.
I will. Common visited, went to see.
The fifth tell is yelling or getting angry, especially self-righteous anger. And you just saw it with Bill O'Reilly a bit, but here's another example from Ben Affleck and Sam Harris. For context, while Ben does make good points that most Muslims are good human beings, he's not responding to Sam's criticisms at all. You can hear Sam try to explain his actual position, but he can't get through because of the yelling.
How about the more than a billion people who aren't fanatical, who don't punch women, who just want to go to the store,
Wait a second. Wait a second.
and don't do any of the things you're saying all Muslims
Wait a second.
stereotating.
Wait a second.
Things, and you painting the whole group religion with that.
No, let's.
The sixth tell of cognitive dissonance is attacking someone's character instead of addressing their arguments, and it's often a sign in light of a losing argument. This is a last resort.
Who you are in terms of your group identity.
You're just
That's
saying
murderous.
things, though, to provoke, aren't you? I mean,
Not
you
a
are a
bit.
provocateur.
I never said
You're like
anything.
the alt-right that you hate to be compared to. You want to stir things up.
And 7 is retreating from a point without any concession. This is the least of the giveaway, since there's often good reasons to move on in an argument, but it should be noted nonetheless, especially if someone retreats rather hastily to move along.
For
You don't
humor,
set out to
now and
provoke.
then. I'm not interested in provoking.
But what
Not
about
in
the thing
least.
about, fighting and the lobster? Tell us about the lobster.
Well, that's quite a segue.
If you see 2, 3, or more of these signs, stop debating. Stop with logical arguments because they will not get you anywhere. You are in the midst of dangerous cognitive dissonance. Instead, your first order of business should be to re-establish rapport with the person you're communicating with. We've covered this at length in our videos on Crowder and Trevor Noah, which I'll link to for a thorough breakdown of rapport, but for the
I just had to stop and take a pause because this is an excellent breakdown. Not only did they break down telltale signs of cognitive dissonance, but now they're going into providing the solution as to how to work around this. Excellent piece, if I must say so myself.
fastest effect, mid-conversation, crack a joke that does not insult the other side, like this.
This is kind of fun, though, is it not?
Yeah, it's delightful.
And my frustration is not with you. Again, it's watching the entire system.
I know. You loathe the network, but you kind of loathe me a little less. I got it.
No, I don't even loathe
Let's
you.
talk politics.
I actually enjoy your company. I feel like we should get together outside of this weirdly egg-shaped table.
Good-natured jokes are especially effective because cognitive dissonance is like a shell that prevents new information from coming in. As long as you are perceived as a threat, the other person's shell will stay up. But if you signal that you're not a threat by making someone laugh, they will feel safe enough to finally open back up. Once the other side has opened back up, you're gonna have to employ 3 counterintuitive mindsets to finally get them to listen. First, demonstrate no superiority if they switch to your side. When you rub winning an argument in people's faces, they will slip back into cognitive dissonance. If your aim is to change someone's mind, you need to resist the urge to do things like this.
Man, this is also something that I struggle with. After going through typically a debate of this caliber, it's only natural to do so because it, in essence, is a tug of war. You know, somebody fighting logic and reason and this, that, and the third, man. And when you finally succeed in getting them to view your point, or if they just concede, then oftentimes you want to, you know, parade around a bit, even if this oftentimes goes unsaid, you know, especially for me, but you'll be able to feel the energy or the pride in my voice that I actually just accomplished this. You know, I got you to see things the way that you should, in my mind, see them. So this is definitely a wonderful point, something I'm certainly going to take in consideration and incorporate into my own life. Let's continue. The piece is almost done.
You talk a lot about the Pareto distribution, yes?
That doesn't mean I defend it.
Well, okay.
No, not well, okay.
Yes. Second, do not force people to...
Something like that. What Jordan just did. I'd do something like that also.
Immediately live out their new values. Our hypothetical smoker is going to have a really hard time conceding that smoking is ruining their health if they're forced to quit cold turkey in that same breath. So you need to allow people space to separate honesty from integrity. Third, do not hold past inconsistencies against people. People have a strong desire to defend things that they've said and done in the past. So when you bring up those inconsistencies, it can drive them to abandon the new belief that they're trying out just so that they can remain consistent with their past selves.
Man, this is a major one that he just said right here. He's hit so many home runs in this particular piece. This is just well thought out and well put together. It's no surprise to me that they have over 6 million subscribers. No surprise to me at all. They definitely doing their thing on a high level. But this is something that I also struggle with, because to me, this is just pointing to examples as to how your way of thinking has done you no justice. How, the results of these actions, that you can pull upon. Because when someone does this to me, I don't hold it so tightly to where, that was where I was at in that particular space. And typically I learn from the experiences and the things that I've go through. When I have made foolish decisions, typically I learn from them. Hindsight, they say, is 20/20. So for me, I look at it just as that, so for someone to bring that up or restate the obvious, I don't look at that or take offense typically to that, because I know what they're saying is truth. 9 times out of 10, I've identified what they're already saying, so there's no need to tell me that. But oftentimes when I do that in return with individuals, I have found that they will look at this as you're throwing things in their face, and oftentimes, again, we see the world based on how we view it. And so oftentimes I'm feeling as if, I'm certainly not throwing something in your face, but with what he just said, how we have a staunch ability rather to actually justify the actions of our past, I can completely see how individuals are taking that as of right now and can jump into defense mode and totally slip back into the cognitive dissonance that this piece is describing. So excellent point there.
But all of this stuff is worth only so much if you use it just with conversation with others. Because the most dangerous cognitive dissonance you will ever encounter is your own. Right. Your cognitive dissonance is what makes you the smart person with some dumb opinions, and we all have some. Now, admittedly, spotting cognitive dissonance in yourself is harder, though the 7 tells can tip you off if you have super high self-awareness. And the solution of allowing yourself to crack a joke, forgive your past inconsistencies, will help you move through cognitive dissonance gracefully. But there is one more piece that helps the most with your own person, and that's when you feel yourself losing track of an argument, you start to raise your voice, or you just get the sense that you're trying to win instead of learn or communicate, connect with your body. Literally, look downward into your chest, placing a hand on your heart or belly, and take a deep breath. Cognitive dissonance often feels like panic if you tune into it, which is why people enter fight or flight in those arguments. But when you slow down and you pay attention, you'll find that you're actually just having a discussion and exploring a perspective that may be more in line with reality, and your sense of logic will start to come back to you. Now, if you can do this in real time, you won't just be part of the solution to communication breakdowns, which is amazing in and of itself. You will see things that other people cannot see. You'll take your ego blinders off and be better prepared to succeed in politics, relationships, work, or life. If you don't do this, you'll find yourself in a near perpetual state of shock and outrage when the world doesn't match your predefined expectations, and worse, you'll be poorly equipped to do anything to improve it.
There you have it, man. Just an overall excellent piece. Shout out to these gentlemen, to this network who put this piece together. This is certainly one of the better pieces, one of the more informative pieces when it comes down to communication that I've saw on YouTube. y'all definitely did y'all thing with that. I hate to sound so country. You guys definitely did your thing with that. It was certainly a blessing to me. And I may even end up rewatching it once again, every time, because oftentimes information is definitely good to go back and revisit, until you really get it down in your spirit, as I like to say. But yes, for this particular episode of Just Trill Talk, definitely want to present that to you guys, let you know what I've been kind of researching and come across in my own free and private time. Hopefully it's a blessing to you as it was to me, and you've got some insight from my perspective on it as well. But of course, thank you for spending time with me on today, and of course to everyone under the sound of my voice, certainly be blessed, and until the next time, take care.